Hey, everybody, and welcome to Crunching Your Growth. Another week and another week of fun. And tonight, I actually have a great show for you tonight. I'm going to give you the secrets to scaling your brand. Okay. I'm going to give you something that people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to do. Okay. Um, as an agency owner, we get asked this question all the time. There are some brands that did a phenomenal job scaling their business, getting right into the connection with their customer. And people recognize that and they want to know how they can do that to their brand. So we're going to focus tonight on 4 brands. We're going to focus on Dr. Squatch. We're going to focus on Graza, which is an olive oil brand. We're going to focus on Harry's Razors. And we're going to focus on Truff. I don't know if any of you are familiar with them. You probably are, and you've probably heard of them because they've basically started out as indie brands and just dominated their categories. And so I'm going to give you insight into how they did it. Each one, I'm going to go deep with them, and we're going to start by laying the foundation. Because one of the things that people don't think about all the time when they start their brand, everybody has this idea that their brand is better and different and unique and all that. So what I want to share with you is this. Okay. Basically, when you want to start a brand, you can be better but not different. You can be not different and just be better. You can be not different and not better. That should be not different and not better in the bottom right. Or in the top right, you can be better and different, which is what you're trying to be, better and different. Because if you're not different, right? If you're not different, if you have a product that is not different, that is not unique, that doesn't do anything other than be the exact same as everybody else, then all you're going to do is compete on price. That's all you're going to do. In fact, for us as an agency, the first thing we ask a prospective client is, what makes you different? What makes you different than your competitors? Because everybody has competitors. So what makes you different than your competitors? And if they really can't answer the question, which a lot can't, and I'm not just talking about small startup brands, I'm talking about some fairly large brands, then we don't really, unless you want us to help you figure out what makes you different, we can't take the business. Because if you're not different and you're not better, then you're just going to be in the mucky middle and you're going to wind up competing only on price. And that's a very, very difficult rut to get out of, because it's very difficult to be profitable when all you're doing is competing on price. We don't deal with resellers for that very reason. We only deal with brands. And so we study brands and we help brands, and we've been successful at helping brands. And I want to go into a couple, like I said, the 4 brands that I talked about. And the first one that I want to start with is a brand that you may have heard of, maybe not have heard of. It's a brand called Harry's. And they're a razor company, right? And what their disruptive model was, what made them different, was they started out with a better shave at a fair price. They didn't say at a better shave at a great price. They said at a fair price, because at the time when they started out, you had Gillette, you had Schick, and you had off brands, and everybody felt that the price of razors was out of control. But really, what they were doing was they really turned their razor into a style. They turned the products into a style. So they weren't just selling the razor; they were selling the complete shave. They were selling the routine, right? Which, this is how you get a great shave. And oh, by the way, we're going to do it at a value, right? So what they do, what people sometimes misinterpret, is their go-to-market strategy. Okay, They have a this is essentially what one of their ads is. This is what you can get for $5. You can get a trial set. You get a handle, you get one 5-blade cartridge, one shave gel, and one travel cover. Now, when you think about it, any of you are in e-commerce, any of you who are selling anywhere online, you say to yourself, dollars, that doesn't even cover the shipping. 100% right. It doesn't cover anything. But what they're saying here is they're giving extreme value, extreme value. They're comparing their set to what you can get for the price of blade refills, right? That's what they're saying. So what they're saying is that for for um, for the price of one cartridge, one blade refill, you can get all this, right? Of the larger brands. Now, what does that do? Well, what it does is how can you pass that up? Nobody can pass that up. I haven't passed it up. You get a great shave. Now, if you like the shave, right? They're banking on the long-term value because people shave and use these products on a consistent or fairly consistent basis, right? So think about, I give this away for $5. I don't know what their true cost is, but let's say that between that and the shipping costs, it's costing them a few dollars, right? Let's say it's costing them $5, $10, say $10. Anybody who's selling today online knows that if they're running ads or they're doing anything on social, they have a cost of acquisition, a cost to acquire a new customer, right? And that cost could be $20, could be $30. So this, for them to acquire a new customer, this is such a good deal that nobody wants to pass it up for $5. Now, once they have you, they feel like they can keep you. They look at the long-term value. So they're not just looking at the profitability of one item or one sale, right? Which a lot of people do. Believe me, we deal with a lot of companies, and they look at the cost and the profitability of one particular sale. They're not thinking about the long-term value of each customer. Now, what did Harry's do? How did they launch? This is going back to about, I think about 2013, 2014. And what they did was, before they even launched, they set up a landing page on their website and they started doing an invite on social media and essentially got customers to sign up, pre-sign up to be first to know and also invite their friends. So it was sort of this exclusive thing that they had done. Spent some money on advertising for it, but they wound up with 100,000 signups. So automatically, the day they launched, they could send an email to 100,000 customers or 100,000 potential customers. So that helped launch them. Then the other things that they did was they spent a tremendous amount of money on public relations, PR. I am a big fan. I've worked it with my own clients, with my own companies when I started brands. PR is the unsung hero. If you get the right agency that has the right contacts that can get your product placed in the right places, right? That's the key. So these guys were all over the news. I'm sure you've read about it when back in the day when they first started out. And when you think about that, okay, and you think about how did you learn about Uber when it first came out? How did you learn about Amazon when it first came out? Or how did you learn about any company that you can think of? You always read about it somewhere. And that's the work of PR. There's not news reporters sitting around anymore looking for stories or writing stories. It hasn't been that way for 20 years, 25 years. They're getting pitched. They need that content. They need somebody pitching them to say, hey, this is an interesting story. This is a startup brand and they're going to disrupt the razor market. And what Harry's did was basically they disrupted through innovation. They innovated a bit, focused more on the total shave versus what the competitors were doing, which were Schick and Gillette, just focusing on selling a razor. Right? So they did strong branding. They did consumer-centric approach. They definitely focus on their customers. And more importantly, they use strategic data. And like I said, they look at the cost of doing this $5 deal and they look at it compared to the cost of running ads and the cost of discounts and all those other things to acquire a new customer. So they're probably acquiring a new customer for a total cost of maybe 10 or $15, while everybody else is out there running ads and spending, trying to acquire a new customer for 25, 30, 35, 40, 60. I mean, I've seen all kinds of numbers depending on how you go about doing it. So it's really an interesting approach. But on top of that, they get across their concept of extreme value. Extreme value. The other thing they did, and you're going to hear about these uh, pieces as we go through these other four brands because there's similarities to all of them. And people still sit there going, huh, I wonder how they did it. But you can follow the same path. Social media. They focused heavily on social media marketing, not running social media ads, but communicating through the custom to the customer through social media about the benefits of their product, right? So they weren't just saying, "Oh, buy my product, buy my product." No, they were doing some beautiful imagery, great innovation, talking about their product, but comparing it with other products, and just take a look at their social media, and you'll see they have great photography, great use of color, great use of shadows, and really great way to communicate with their customers. They also did a lot of content marketing, a lot of blog posts about shaving, a lot of blog posts about men's grooming, fashion, things like that, which got a lot of play as well. Those of you who are in the e-commerce world or have a website, you're obviously very familiar with content marketing and the power it has for search engine optimization. Um, Obviously email marketing, which they did with, they started out with 100,000, but then as they started selling, every time you sell to a new customer, you're capturing their email address. So they're building that list and constantly selling more and more to those customers. Because again, they're not just selling razors. They're selling the entire shave. They've got pre-shave, post-shave products. So they've got carrying cases. They've got, you know, razor covers. So they're building that average sale using the razor as a way to get in, right? The razor becomes, for lack of a better term, the tripwire, the thing that gets customers in the door. Because everybody shaves, right? Every man, every woman shaves, and a lot of women use the razor. So the other thing they did was, yes, they ran paid ads. They ran paid ads on social, Google, through the DSPs. They were everywhere for a while. They ran television. They ran connected TV ads. They ran, ads in magazines, placed ads, online magazines. They sponsored podcasts. So they got their brand out there very quickly, right? And but very strategically. They weren't just blowing ads out. They knew exactly who they were targeting and what they were targeting. And then they did a lot of micro influencer partnerships. So I'm a big fan of micro influencers. I'm not a big fan of going out there and saying, "Oh, well, we want to get, Justin Timberlake to do a post for us." No, that's not it at all. You want to get micro influencers because I'd rather have 100 influencers that are online talking about my brand that have between 5,000 and 10,000 followers than I would one guy who has 1 million followers, because I know from history, I know from experience, I'm not going to get any return on the guy with 1 million followers. I'm never gonna. And they overcharge, and the costs are ridiculous, and you just never get your return. But you've got 100 people talking about your product, which is going to turn into 500 people talking about your product, and then 1,000 people talking about your product. So I'm a big fan of micro influencers, and that's what they did. You can go out there and look on YouTube, and there's probably 200, 300 videos of guys who got this set and then tested it and did their open box review. So and then obviously, affiliate work they did with having affiliates, and where micro influencers play a role in that. But just really sort of a very strategic grassroots effort. Yes, they were spending money, but when you think about some of the things that they were doing, social media doesn't really cost a lot. It's work. It's more work. It's more understanding who you're talking to and then phrasing things correctly and building a community. Too many times, brands starting out and even brands that are big think social media is just another selling platform where you start cramming images of $5 off, $10 off, $15 off. They think that that's a, a good use of social media, but it's not. People get burned out on that. What they're looking for is an engaging conversation about something that interests them. That's what they're looking for, right? They want you to connect with them. That's what social media is about. It's about trying to connect. And Harry's did a very good job of connecting with their target audience. This is not a social media post, what you can get with only $5. This was an ad. And it's still out there. You can still get this deal when you see the ad. So, it's a very good example of how to strategically start a brand. Certainly, once they were up and running, they raised a lot of money. Then they could handle things a little bit differently. They were doing more ads, more television, expanding the brand. But in those first 2 years, that's what they were doing, and it's a lot more work than it is just spending money. So the next one I want to talk about is Dr. Squatch. I think these guys did did a great job with. Um, they did a great job with how to basically make fun of yourself, right? It's essentially soap, right? But they turned soap for men into something fun and something funny. They've Their product is all natural. They sell it at a lot of places now. But when they first started out, they started out with just humor videos, funny videos, humorous advertising, engaging content. I mean, you see these ads and you think, it's funny, right? Everybody remembers their ads because they had the Sasquatch going through the woods, and um, everybody remembered they were memorable ads, and that's what you're trying to get to. Again, remember, you want to be different, you can be different and you can be better, right? Or you can be better and not different, or you can be not different and not better, or you can be not different and better. It's so you have to stake your claim as to what you want to be. These guys chose to be better and different, right? So which is what you want. They're better because their products are more targeted to their customer, more targeted to the men that they're talking about, and meaning that the scents are more targeted at men, the product is more targeted at men, and they're environmentally conscious because they're natural product. And so they speak to men, they speak to their customer in a way that that customer appreciates. They're using humor, right? They highlight the benefits of their product, but they do it humorously, right? They do it fun, so people remember humor. People don't want to be serious. I tell this to clients all the time. Everybody wants to create these ads and these videos talking about their product and about the benefits and features, etc. But you get so serious with it. People get so serious with it, and people don't remember serious. They get enough serious in their life. They want something. When you think about the videos and the television commercials that you like the most, Super Bowl being one of them, they're always the funny ones. They're always the ones that are a little bit more, out there. We have a client today who does some very funny hats, customized hats. And they've been doing it for a while. A bunch of young guys. They know who their audience is and they know how to speak to their audience. And that's how they speak. And they get tremendous, tremendous sales from it. And with very low costs because they're using a lot of TikTok video, they're using a lot of Reels video, a lot of social media, non-paid, and getting a lot further than most. Why? Because they're talking to their customer in a way that their customer talks, and therefore they're connecting. They're making that connection with a customer. And today, let me tell you something. If you think that you can get away with just doing traditional advertising, you can't, because the next generation coming up, and the generation that we have now of consumers, they don't want that type of advertising. They're looking for you to make a connection with them. They want to know what you're all about. And they want you to talk to them correctly. And they don't want to get bombarded with ads. They want to get they get a lot of their information off of social media, and TikTok being one of them. Uh, I could talk an hour on some of the things we're seeing with TikTok that we're actually doing on TikTok that are getting unbelievable results across all selling channels, whether it's your website or whether it's Amazon. It's actually reduced people's advertising costs, but it's all because you're focused on these channels and talking to people in a way. But the key is to make a connection. If you're not making a connection today, you're sort of, again, stuck in that mucky middle. But you've got to have something to talk about. You've got to be better and different than what your competitors are. It's okay to be just different, but you want to strive to be better and different. But being different will also go a long way. But if you're just better, or you're not better, not different, then what are you talking about? You're just competing on price, right? You can run all the ads you want. You can put out great deals and you'll get some traction, but long term, you're not making a connection because you're not that different. So you want to be different. There's a very, very smart marketer out there called Sally Hogshead. She's written a book called Fascinate, and she talks about fascinating customers. And that's what it's all about. You've got to do something that captures their attention and keeps their attention. And Dr. Squatch has done a great job of it. Um, they've also done, again, like Harry's, they also focused a lot on social media, right? They had these great videos that are funny. They've got, great, great ads like this that are sort of funny, indifferent, and then social media. And then next, influencer partnerships. And again, they didn't go after big influencers. They went after micro influencers. Give them the product, get them to talk about your product, starting out with 100, 150. But if you go out there today and you start looking at Dr. Squatch, again, micro influencers, and a lot of them, right? Email marketing. They built up a huge email list by now, hundreds of thousands of people. That goes a long way for recurring revenue. And it doesn't cost you anything but time to send out those emails. Now that they've gotten into retail, right, they capture the customer sale at retail one or two times, but those customers come back to their website. So the retail is actually another way for them to get more customers, right? Retail is difficult to get into today. Anybody who's tried it, you'll realize, but the retailers also, think about it, the retailers also want somebody who's different, right? Different and better, or just different. If you walk in here, I've been in retail. I spent a long time in retail, and I've also gotten my products into retail. And people complain about Walmart or any company, Costco, about it was so unfair. They asked for all this back end money and this and that. Think about it logically. If I'm not different, if I have a product, let's say I have a pasta sauce, and there's nothing unique about my pasta sauce. I walk into Walmart and I say, I want you to carry my pasta sauce. I'm 10 cents a jar cheaper than, my biggest competitor. Then, okay, Walmart's going to look at it and go, well, why are you different? Oh, I'm 10 cents cheaper. But why are you different? Because if you're not different, I already know. I've already got all these pasta sauces on this shelf. I know what that delivers to me in gross margin and sales. I know what it delivers to me in profit. You're an unknown. So if you're going to come in and you want me to take out this company and put you in, well, then you're going to have to support those sales if they don't happen. You're going to have to pay me slotting fees, discounts, rebates, accruals, all that, because you're going to protect me, because I don't have a problem here. I'm making sales and I'm making profit. Now, if you go in there with something unique and you say, look, we've just blown up on the internet. We've got this unique pasta sauce that everybody wants because it's got, well, we'll talk about that with one of the next ones, but it's got truffle in it, right? Well, they're going to go, well, we don't have that. Sure, we'd love to have that. Well, now you're in a better negotiating position, right? Because now you're not a me too. Now you're not going in there to say, I want you to displace somebody. No, you're going in there with a new product that's different and better. And so you have a better chance of getting into retail. Retail is not looking for more products today. because they've already got enough products in their stores. But if you come in there with something different, Target came to Harry's. Target went to Harry's and said, "We want your product in our stores." Harry's didn't go in there pitching to get their product in. Target came to them. That's a great negotiating position. You can say, well, if we're going to do this, we need an end cap and we need visibility. Sure, we'd love to. And the reason that they did was because they were different and they were better, right? Same thing with Dr. Squatch. Retailers started coming to them. We want your product in. So what did they do? They were different. They were better, right? They used all these tools that they had: content marketing, email marketing, influencer partnerships, social media. They built up their story online to the point where they had demand, right? They started running television commercials with funny video, connected TV commercials, not necessarily traditional television, but connected TV, which is, a whole different story, but it's far more higher returning. But anyway, um, so when you start thinking about it, right? We just talked about that with Harry's, and we're talking about it again with Dr. Squatch. The other thing was public relations, PR. They were all over the place. People were writing stories about this indie brand that came up just focused on men. That doesn't happen by accident. You have a PR firm, you give them their marching orders. You want to make sure you have the right PR firm that has the right contacts that they can land those stories, because that's what it is. Hey, at Men's Journal, or Men's Exercise magazine, I've got a great new product that's targeted towards men. I think you should write a little story about it. Here's what the talking points are. Sometimes the PR firm will even write it for you, and you get it out there, and it does wonders. It does wonders. A lot of you have heard me, tell the story about Brian Wilson when I had the razor company and what we did with Brian Wilson. And that was a PR stunt, and it got us in newspapers and radio, television worldwide. So helped launch the company. And so, all of these things that we just talked about with Harry's, we're talking about again with Dr. Squatch. So this is what I'm saying. This is the pattern. But before you can start that pattern of starting with social media, email, influencers, what makes you different, right? Are you different and better? Are you different and not better? Are you just not better and not different? I mean, you have to figure out where you are in that little spectrum, which we'll go back to in a little while. But where are you in that? If you're better and different, you stand a much better chance of communicating your differences to the end user. And that's what people are looking for. They don't want the same old, same old. I mean, people could go out and buy soap, I'm sure, anywhere, but this becomes interesting because you're talking directly to me. I'm a man, I stink, right? But I don't have to. I can buy your product. Let me give it a shot. Let me try. Okay, I like this scent. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to still do it. And then they come out with, ancillary products and start building out the brand around it. And then the retailers come. So again, the second one we've looked at with exactly the same strategy as Harry's. So let's look at another one. And these are more recent ones. This one has made a great name for itself in a very short period of time. Not sure if you've heard about it, but Graza. Olive oil, for some reason, has people thinking that it's some sort of secret as to what's a good olive oil and a bad olive oil and this and that. But when you think about their target customer is under 50. And I don't want to have to think about my olive oil. I have too many other things to think about, right? I have this beautiful, it comes in a beautiful bottle. I paid $50 for it. Did I need to pay $50 for it? I don't know. Do I cook with it? What do I not cook with it? What do I do with it? Am I allowed to cook with it? Is this just for putting on salads? What kind of olive oil do I use for cooking? And what kind of do I use for putting on my salads? I don't want to have to think that hard. So what did they do? They made it simple. They made it simple. They took olive oil and made it simple. And all the olive oil guys are going insane. All the olive oil brands are going, oh my God, how did they do this? How did they do it? You guys are sitting there running these television commercials. You're sitting there building these ads, building these videos where you're tasting the olive oil and sniffing the olive oil and getting into all these intricate details about olive oil, when the end user, the customer, just wants to know, how do I use the olive oil? What do I use the olive oil for? So what do? Sizzle and drizzle. Sizzle, this is what you cook with. Drizzle, this is what you put on your salad. How much simpler can you make it? Right? The delivery mechanism, again, the olive oil guys went nuts because you can't put olive oil, has to be in a, you know, dark glass bottle and things like that. Okay, but the average customer doesn't really care. They care about whether or not it tastes good, right? Whether or not it works. So they simplified it. They simplified their message. It's still extra virgin olive oil. It's still single sourced from Spain. So they've made all those normal claims, right? And and again, then what did they do? They made the message simple. Sizzle and drizzle. It's right on the bottle. This is what you use to cook with. This is what you use to put on your salad. Makes sense, right? So, how did they launch? I mean, this is just another great story, right? First of all, again, they go back to my little quadrant there of, are you better and are you different? I don't know if you can get much different than what these guys have done. Are they better? Could In the consumer's eyes, I think they're better. Right? In the consumer's eyes, I think that their product is better because the consumer looks at it and says it tastes like great olive oil, and it is probably great olive oil. Is it the best olive oil? It doesn't matter. It only matters what the consumer thinks, right? So they have a product. They've identified this opportunity where they said, these stuffy guys in the olive oil world, they're missing it. There's a whole world of people that are buying cheap olive oil or buying not good olive oil because they don't know what I'm supposed to use to cook, and what I'm supposed to use to put on my salad. So let's make it easy. So that was their identifying opportunity. And then the second opportunity they had was, let's put it in. I'm sure these guys worked in a restaurant, because in restaurants, basically in the kitchens, that's how they put the olive oil in squeeze bottles. And so that's the idea. That's the concept, right? So how did they do it? Man, again, they went right after social media. They were all over social media. They got tons of micro influencers. They handed out free product to micro influencers and said, try the product, use the product, make a video, and talk about the product. And that's what they did. I think they had at 1,000 micro influencers talking about their product before they even launched. They had spent so much time. Now, when you think about it, everybody goes, oh my God, they probably spent, $10,000 doing that. They probably did spend $10,000. And I would say that it was probably $10,000 well spent money. I've seen brands launch $10,000 and spend it on ads and not get anything for it. And these guys got something for it. By the time they launched, everybody on social media in that target group knew their name. And so what you have are people that, again, their target was really people under 45 that are, and people really, I guess 25 to 45 that are, out of the house, starting their life, and all the way up to people with families, but they're not going after the hardcore culinarian who's, seeking the best quality olive oil to make a specific dish that he read about in Food and Wine. No, they're going after everyday people. Here's what you do. Here's the olive oil that you're going to use to cook in your frying pan, and here's the olive oil you're going to put on your salad, or you're going to put on your, your fish, whatever you're going to do. So it made it easy for everybody to understand, and their brand exploded, right? To the point where, again, retailers started coming to them. And when you start seeing this kind of behavior in a store, that doesn't happen by accident. I mean, that is a healthy display of olive oil. And they came out with these refill cans because they were catching some flack about the plastic bottles. So they said, okay, well, the plastic bottles don't have to get thrown away. We can refill them. So they put the olive oil in cans, easy to ship. You don't have to worry about glass breaking. It's less heavy than glass, and they I think these guys are doing a phenomenal job. And again, every we do a lot of work in the food business, and everybody wants to know how did Graza do it? How did Graza do it? Same thing, social media, micro influencers, PR, and affiliate deals, all before they started spending money on ads. Yeah. Do they run them? Do they run ads? Absolutely, they run ads. So again, they knew who they were. They were different. They were unique. They were better, and so they had a message to talk about. So if you don't have anything to talk about, what are you going to talk about? You have to have a message that makes you different. You have to have something that makes you different. If not, you're just a me too. And I can't tell you how difficult this is to get across to people, because everybody thinks that when they develop their product that they're better automatically and they're different and people are going to recognize that they're different. Why are they going to recognize that? How do people know you're different? I mean, I've written about this in my books about being different. You have to be different. You have to come up with a unique selling proposition. Everybody knows the unique selling proposition, right? It's just another way of saying be different, right? But a lot of people don't have it and they don't do it. A lot of brands come out and then they struggle, and you hear about them all the time. Even some of the brands today that we see going out of business, right? You see that fast food restaurants are struggling. Well, yeah, it's got nothing to do with the economy. I mean, what's different anymore about some of these guys? Maybe they were different 20 years ago. Maybe they were different 10 years ago. I mean, Pizza Hut. When was the last time you went to a Pizza Hut? Yeah, okay, they're having trouble. They're Red Lobster. Really? I mean, do you really have to think that that's the economy? It's Red Lobster. I mean, when was the last time you went there? And if you did, it was sort of dirty and smelly, right? So, and I wouldn't eat fish there because fish is sort of, you're worried about getting sick, right? And so it's the same thing with a lot of them. I read these articles every day. I like to read the business news every morning, and it kills me, the headlines. Popular hamburger chain, files Chapter 11. I go, which hamburger chain? And then I look it up, and it's some chain in Iowa that had 6 stores that was basically a McDonald's knockoff. Okay, why would they survive? I mean, why would you expect them to survive? You don't expect them to survive. So, I don't care what business you're in, you have to be different. You have to be different and unique. We have we have a client who's an industrial client who we don't usually do industrial stuff, but they came to us from a friend, and frankly, we've been having a great time helping them. But these guys they do construction and concrete construction, and they're unique and different. Their product is better, and they're unique in the fact that they guarantee that they'll get there on time. Because if you're a contractor and you're waiting on the concrete trucks to show up, right? It's holding you up, it's costing you money. They guarantee that they'll be there on time, right? So and then they pour and get the heck out of there. In some cases, they have one of the only portable concrete mixing, uh, whatever you call it. But they can do it. They can do it right there. If it's a big enough job and you're building a massive building, they just they can do concrete production right there, and just keep moving it. So that's what makes them different. That's what makes them unique, and they know it. And so it doesn't matter what industry you're in, is my point. It doesn't have to be consumer products. It could be any industry. What makes you different and what makes you better? And that's what you have to keep. You have to walk away and say to yourself, what is it? What is it that makes me unique and better? Okay. Last one. Last one. And again, these guys are another one that came out and did just a phenomenal job. Okay. Phenomenal job. Came out a couple of years ago. Uh, Hot sauce. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with hot sauce, but like hot sauce is almost the ketchup of this next generation. I mean, we have a couple of hot sauce clients, and it's amazing to me how much hot sauce people sell. And everybody's looking for what's different, right? Guys collect hot sauce; they've got shelves of it. Anybody who's listening that's in the hot sauce world or uses hot sauce knows that nobody has just one brand or one product. So again, these guys hit a couple of years ago on hot sauce, and they identified a market. But the thing that they did before they even launched, they had the Instagram handle at hot sauce, right? So for years before, and they started producing content about hot sauce, and then they finally figured out what they wanted to do with hot sauce, and truffle infused hot sauce. Okay, was that better or good? Or it's definitely different, right? There wasn't another one out there, so they're the only ones that could say we're truffle infused. So the connotation about truffles is that they're very high quality, very expensive. So they position this as a really high quality brand. They set up sample packets and they started giving them out at Whole Foods because they are a product that could sell in Whole Foods. So they were giving them out at the registers to everybody who went by. So people got to sample their product. Probably cost them, maybe $20,000 to do that with sample packets. But again, well worth it. All your information is on that packet, your website information, everything. So, okay, you've got a unique product, right? That's better than what's out there today, because nobody else had a truffle infused hot sauce. Packaged it, made it look like a really beautiful product. Today, they they've expanded more into more products from there. Um, Now their lineup looks like this. They've got a truffle infused mayonnaise. They've got truffle infused pasta sauces, but their core is really their hot sauce, right? And so, but again, how did they do it? Okay, so innovative product in this particular case, their premium branding and their packaging. I don't know if you noticed it. Let me go back to that. Let me go back to that other picture, because what was interesting, and again, part of being unique, part of being different. This cap resembles a truffle, right? It resembles the look of a truffle. So they carried that unique product into all their products, but also into their packaging. So, and their packaging was designed to be luxurious. So they're elevating the hot sauce category or their hot sauce offering into being um, luxurious, right? Which is not something that hot sauce people were doing. But again, strategic social media marketing, right? They were out there on social, connecting with the customer, connecting with their core customer, on making videos, making on Instagram, having that hot sauce for years helped them out. But again, same type of thing. Influencer partnerships. They had everybody that was in the food world, micro influencers making product, making recipes with their product. Again, leveraging that micro influencer, strategic social media. And what did all that do? They got massive PR, massive PR. They were everywhere. They were in what to get gifts for the holidays, what to get somebody who's a hot sauce lover, or I think that they were sold in some high end retailers as well, right? So these guys are uh, but again, following the same strategy that we've heard over and over again: strategic social media marketing, making a connection with the customer, talking about what makes you better and different, and getting that customer to understand. Micro influencers. They weren't going after the big ones. They weren't using a service to say, get me the biggest influencers. No, it was hard work. They were going after micro influencers, very strategic with it, just like everybody else. And it pays off. You know, giving them free product is a heck of a lot cheaper than running ads. And so, once again, and then you've got PR, massive amounts of PR. And then once all that happened, again, then you've got built up demand. Then you have the retailers coming to you and saying, I want your product in my store. Okay, I'm going to now be choosy and picky about who I put my product in because I feel like I have, if I'm Truff, I feel like I have this premium product that only should go in very specific places. Well, what does that do? That gives me leverage. That gives me leverage to say, okay, if we're going to put the product in, we want an end cap. We want the product to, be here and be there. I'm not subjected to slotting fees, rebates, discounts, accruals, marketing fees because I've done all this. I've created the demand. So if you want me, this is what you have to do. If you don't, then I have other retailers that I can go to. So do you see the difference between you're trying to push your product into retail versus retailers pulling to you? They've done all the work online. And then, they've, again, very consistent. Every one of these companies, every one of these brands that launched, whether it's Truff, whether it's Graza, whether it's Harry's, whether it's Dr. Squatch, they've been out there for years. Consistent messaging, talking about why they're better, why they're different, right? And so these are the things that are necessary, and these are the tools we have that are necessary. But for some reason, no matter how much evidence there is out there about this, people still don't believe it. And they still think that they want to just start running ads and they think ads are going to be the be all end all. Ads are a support mechanism for all the other tactics you use. Ads are just a support mechanism. They're just designed to keep your message and your name out there. But you're making penetration with all these other pieces. Social media, when you know who you are, when you know that you have a unique proposition, that you're better and you're different, then your social media focus becomes so much easier. Your messaging on your ads becomes so much easier, right? Your PR becomes so much easier because if you're just another hot sauce, right? Bill's hot sauce. I mean, honestly, people can make hot sauce in a kitchen, in a rented kitchen. It's very easy to get into. There's a low barrier to entry. So if that's the case, then anybody can go out there and start making it. And if that's the case, then you know you're going to get is a PR firm going to be interested in that? Hey, I created my new hot sauce. Well, what's different about it? Well, I created it. You know, well, I make it in a small batch kitchen. Okay, but that's not really enough. But a truffle hot sauce in a beautiful package is enough, right? A high quality product is enough. A razor, right, that is giving huge value, right? That focuses on the total shave is enough, right? Graza making olive oil simple to understand, simple to use is enough to get PR, right? So, these are just, again, 4 examples. I can go on this subject forever. It's a subject that's near and dear to me because this is what we do for a living, right? And this is what we talk about on this show is how are you going to scale your business? How are you going to grow? Right? You're crunching your growth. How are you going to do it? Well, if you listen to us, we'll give you the guidance on how to do it. We'll show you how to do it. We'll help you execute it. We'll build the right ads that get across your difference, right? We'll do all the tactics. We'll run your social media. We'll create the content. That's what we do. But if you come to us and say, I have a pasta sauce that's, I think it's better. Okay, great. But what do the customers think about it? So anyhow, that's sort of the message I wanted to convey. I wanted to do this show for quite some time with that message because it comes up constantly. I can't tell you. Every new customer that we get brings up one of those companies and says, we want to scale like that. How did they scale? How did they do that? How did they do it? And we have olive oil companies that are our clients. We have personal care companies that are our clients, and everybody asks, how did they do it? And we'll lay it out for them step by step. I have the same step by step document on how they did it and how we've done it with other brands, my own brands that I founded before this, or brands that we've helped. We can show them examples and say, this is how we do it. We do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. This is what it's going to cost you. But, they want to go and right into running ads, right into, want to be on Amazon and I want to start selling. Okay, you can sell on Amazon, but the costs are so expensive. People are spending 15 to 20% on running ads on Amazon. Wouldn't it be better if you got your message out there and people went to Amazon to look for your product and you didn't have to run ads to get it? Because again, Amazon's not a very good platform to launch products. It's a great platform because 95%, I think, or 96% of the buying population in the United States has the app on their phone, right? That's a powerful thing. People go to Amazon to look for products, but they look for products when they've heard about it. Jumping right into ads and spending money senselessly doesn't get you there. Be strategic about it. Every one of those customers, every one of those every one of those brands was very strategic about what they were doing. So when you're thinking about your product and you're thinking about starting your business, you have to think about, hey, again, what makes you better and what makes you different? If you can't answer that question, if you can't be different, right, then you have to rethink what you're doing. You have to rethink what you're doing. And that's a hard thing for people to swallow. Believe me, I've been there. I've been there. I founded something one time and then I went, that's how I met Sally Hogshead. And she said, but you're not different. This is what you have to do. And we wound up rebuilding the entire company based on that whole concept. And she was 100% right because we were floundering. So again, be better, be different, and then the world opens up because then everything becomes easy for you. But you have to think about it in a different, more strategic way. So, um, so it was great chatting. I hope you guys got a lot out of it, and I really think that um, if you go back and re-listen to this, you'll learn an awful lot about how to start and how to scale a business because it's a proven model and it's not something that just happened for people. It was very strategic. These guys knew what they were doing, and they thought about it. And we again, we've got proven models where we've done it for people exactly following exactly the same steps, not because we're copying them, but because it's the right thing to do. Getting product into micro influencers' hands, letting them talk about it, having multiple people online talking about your product, using your product, making videos and making content. That stuff is great. And when you decide to go into retail, having them come to you, right? I have never walked in and sold to retail and said, I want you to take my product. They've always called us. We were in Ulta Beauty, we were in Sephora, we were in Shoppers Drug Mart in Canada when we had the beauty products. And they came to us because we did such a good job with it. And I'm a firm believer in that because that saves you money and it puts you in a different negotiating position. But anyway, I think I've rambled enough on this subject. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this. And I hope that your business is successful. And I hope you got a lot out of this. And, thank you and have a good night. And we'll see you next week. And yeah, we'll see you next week.